Today, President Trump addressed the nation, offering a compromise to persuade House Democrats to come back to the negotiating table and fund the border wall. The partial government shutdown over border security is now in its 29th day. Errol Barnett is in Washington, D.C. with the latest.
I am here today to break the logjam and provide Congress with a path forward to end the government shutdown.
In an effort to bring an end to the longest government shutdown in U.S. history, President Trump made another public plea from the White House this evening to convince Democrats to fully fund his border wall proposal.
That is our plan. Border security, DACA, TPS, and many other things.
Sticking with his $5.7 billion request to fund border barriers and related security, the president is now offering extended protections for certain immigrants. 3-year protections for the 700,000 children of undocumented immigrants and for the 300,000 immigrants who are temporarily protected from deportation. With an estimated 800,000 federal workers impacted by the partial shutdown, Democrats say President Trump must reopen government first before they negotiate, and they are not inclined to support the president's proposal. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said the president's offer is a, quote, compilation of several previously rejected initiatives, each of which is unacceptable. And Democratic Senator Dick Durbin, who co-sponsored a bill 2 years ago with the extended protections, said, "I cannot support the proposed offer and do not believe it can pass the Senate."
I don't see Democrats giving us more money unless they get something.
Durbin's Republican co-sponsor on that bill was Senator Lindsey Graham, who 3 weeks ago tried to personally convince President Trump to include extended protections in any compromise. Senator, after you outlined this to President Trump, what were the first words out of his mouth?
Interesting.
Since then, a CBS News poll shows most Americans blame the president for the prolonged shutdown. And another poll shows support for the president waning among his base, down 9% among suburban men and down 11% among white women with no college degree. Now, President Trump also said Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has pledged to bring this proposal to the floor for a vote next week. And if it passes, the president said he would hold weekly bipartisan meetings. But Democrats have consistently resisted any effort to give President Trump $5.7 billion for a border barrier. Errol Barnett, CBS News, the White House.
In other national news, thousands of flights have been delayed or canceled, and cars and trucks have been sliding on icy interstates across the Midwest. Kenneth Craig has more on the monster storm.
A United Airlines aircraft taxiing after landing during a snowstorm slid off the runway at Chicago O'Hare International Airport on Saturday. Firefighters helped the nearly 130 passengers from Phoenix get to safety.
We ended up circling for a good hour and a half, and then we finally landed, and next thing we know, we were off the runway and stuck in snow.
The storm has dropped at least 10 inches of snow in the city's northern suburbs.
Winter weather is no stranger to the city of Chicago.
Sanitation workers and hundreds of spreaders and plows have been working around the clock fighting the conditions. Mayor Rahm Emanuel.
We got a lot of snow, a lot of wind, you got a lake effect, and then you got dropping temperatures. So this makes it a little rough on everybody.
In Iowa Friday, this tractor trailer jackknifed on snow-covered Interstate 35. Streets in Fort Wayne, Indiana were snow-covered and slippery Saturday. The mercury is expected to dip, turning bitter cold. And cities across the east are pre-treating their roads in anticipation of snow, sleet, freezing rain, and ice.
When the snow and ice comes and hits it, it melts from the bottom up.
In Newton, Massachusetts, crews use a combination of salt and brine to beat back nature's wrath.
We've still got 2 months left, so we'll pray that the snow gods bless us and this is the last of it.
It's rare for New York City to go without snow between November and January, but the city's 5 boroughs have not seen 1 day of measurable snowfall since November 15th. The storm is headed this way. Kenneth Craig, CBS News.
And join here now with meteorologist Connor Pregitzer. That weather is really hitting across the Midwest, and it seems to be kind of a pattern.
Yeah, we've seen each of the last 2 weekends we've been here talking about storms following almost the exact same path. Some severe winter weather across much of the country. Not seeing so much of it here, but As we look at the satellite and radar, this could almost be a loop from last weekend when we were talking about another storm set to impact the mid-Atlantic. One thing we noticed, this one shifted a little bit further north, and some more severe conditions. As I bring up the storm reports here, we can see down there actually a couple of weak tornadoes spawned on the very southern side of this, a lot of heavy rains and some flood watches on the southern half of it through Georgia, the Carolinas, and Tennessee there, but then some very heavy snow on the north side. Lots of reports of 6+ inches across this thing. So millions of Americans dealing with this major storm, and we here in Montana are set to deal with a little bit more wintry weather of our own. I'll break it down for you coming up in the full forecast in just a little bit.
Thanks, Connor. Working side by side, doing manual labor can bring people together, and that's part of the benefit of the Martin Luther King Jr. Day of Service held today at the Friendship House in downtown Billings. The house helps about 160 children in South Billings, and this has been an annual project for about 12 years. The event kicks off the Black Heritage Foundation's MLK Jr. celebration in Billings. This day of service is part of a nationwide effort.
When you sweat together and roll up your sleeves, and we will be painting all together, getting paint on yourself or whatever, it really helps you come to realize that we're actually one family under God, when you really think about it. And Martin Luther King always had that vision, that we are one nation under God.
Several events are planned for the Martin Luther King Jr. celebration, including the annual bell ringing at MSUB starting at 9:45 Monday morning. Well, more to come tonight on the 10 o'clock news. Today, thousands of women from across the nation gathered in Washington, D.C. Today, the Women's March was in Washington and here in Montana. We take you there after the break.
You're watching MTN News with Zoe Zandora, Storm Tracker Weather with Connor Pregetzer, and Sports with Casey Conlon. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.